Hi, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my weekly photo chats. So today I'm going to talk about, well, it was a gift. A local photographer contacted me and said, hey, I have a bunch of stuff, some dark rooms, some cameras, some lenses, some oddball stuff that I just need to clear out. Are you interested? I don't shoot film anymore. I want to clear it out. So I said, sure, bring it by, and she brought it by, and one of the things that was in there, besides an Olympus OM1 and a Raleigh dark room enlarger, was this Telesar computerized 35 millimeter daylight bulk film loader. And this bag of empty film canisters. And if you're not familiar, there's a 100-foot spool of film inside of here that you would load in a dark bag or in a dark space to put it in there so that it doesn't get any light on it. And then once it's in here, a tongue sticks out, and then you're able to pull the tongue up and then run the leader onto a spool of film, which I'll show you. So this is an old Ilford HP5 can from a long, long time ago. And the ends just pop off. They're snap-on. And so really all you would do is you would take the inside core and you would tape the film to this. And then once it's taped to it, you would just slide this back over it, pop the cap back on it, which takes a little bit of doing. There you go. And then once the cap is popped on, you would just, this is all connected at this point, you would just close this up inside of this, close that lid, and then, since it's all closed up and light tight, you would just put a crank handle in and turn it, and as you turn it, this little plastic wheel, which they're calling the computer, would count how many frames you loaded. And it's a really economical way to buy film because you could buy a 100-foot load of film. Each roll of film tends to be about 5 feet, they say. You could, because you're rolling it yourself, you can roll films that are only 12 exposures long. So if you want to shoot something on the quick and you don't want to wait for it to be processed and run through the camera, it's going to take a while to shoot 30 frames, 36 frames, you can roll 12s, you can roll 15s. You do waste a little bit because there's leader wasted every time that you roll a 12 as opposed to rolling a 36. But if it's a convenience for you, you're already saving money in a bulk roll of film might be $80 to $120, and you might get 20 rolls out of it, or I'm not sure exactly the amount, maybe 20 rolls. And the idea is now you can buy Tri-X, you can buy Ilford HP5. This is actually Plus X film. And I could tell because when I saw the color of this film leader, I knew this wasn't the color of Tri-X. Tri-X doesn't look like this. And I wondered what it was. And the computer film counter that has the counter for the feet of film, it says I'm at 40 feet. It used to say 50 feet, but I've rolled a few. And so this can make smaller rolls more economically than if I were to buy it 36 rolls from a camera store and just buy it outright. And then all these film canisters are just these little lightweight film canisters. Some of these say Ilford FP4. These are really old canisters. And what was really fun was I was going through, and one of the canisters, it felt heavy. And I thought, all of these are kind of light and they kind of rattle a little bit, but this one didn't do that. This one felt heavy. And I guessed that it was Plus X film in there, and so I was running film anyway, so I thought, I'm going to, when I process my film, pop the end of it off, and if there's film in there, since there's no leader out, that tells me that somebody, see, like you're a little sleuth in this photography game. that told me that somebody pulled the leader in when they were done finishing shooting the roll. Probably the woman who brought me the camera gear. So I processed the film, and there was film in it. And it was a 24 exposure roll. There were about 18 photos on it. And there's some beautiful photos of her and her friend when they were younger with a car and standing outside, some of her kids, some people up on a roof. They were doing some roofing work. And I was able to give that back to her and say, hey, I have some photos that you might want. It was inside one of those rolls, and I could just tell from the weights, we might have something there. And that's the beauty of film, is film holds that image. That image may have been 20 or 30 years old, but if it's contained and if it's not stored in a sauna, it's still going to have an image there. And it did. And it was a really good image. It was perfectly good. And now this will become one that I'll use to pick up some other bulk film and put in and load my own rolls that are shorter than 36. Because I typically buy HP5 and 36 exposure rolls, and I like that. And you could buy Arista EDU film, you can buy Fomapan and some of the brands that are a little bit less expensive than HP5 in bulk and also in single rolls. But if you wanted to buy an inexpensive roll instead of HP5, you could put something like a Arista into this, and now you have a simple, inexpensive way to shoot 12 frames. Just to say, I'm just going to go out and shoot one project. I'm just going to go out and shoot 12 frames of somebody. I'm going to make a few portraits, and I just want a handful of frames, and I want to get the film right out of the camera and into the darkroom. And that's a good way to do it. So I've wanted to have a bulk loader in the past, but they run about 30 bucks online, and that's the used price. I'm not sure what they go for new. That's the eBay price. And it's another one of those things where I waited till it came into my sphere. I didn't even look for one. Somebody brought me one. And they brought me all the film canisters, so I have a bunch of film to shoot. As a result, it's probably half loaded when I got it, so I had 50 feet of film in there. And so I'll end up making 10 or 15 rolls of short rolls and get to shoot some Plus X, which I'm not usually buying Plus X. In fact, I don't think they make Plus X anymore. It's a 125 speed Kodak film instead of the Tri-X 400. But if you're looking to save a few bucks, find a good inexpensive bulk loader. And there are other brands. This is the only one that I have here, so I'm showing it to you. But there are other ones that are even more plentiful than this. I never heard of this brand. And it's Telesar, made in USA, computerized bulk film loader. So get loading, get shooting. All right, that's today's photography talk. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I welcome them, and I'll be back next week and we'll talk photography. As always, here's the good light.